discussing Trump versus Bernie Sanders. This one, Joe Rogan is doing a leftist liberal heel turn once again, folks.
I hate someone like Trump because Trump believes he should be president and he wants to be president.
Yes, and there's something a little icky about it.
Out of here,
dude. And I think that what was so endearing about Bernie. It was like this don't want to win. He wants to help. Now, is his idea of help? Do you agree with it? That's to be said by the average person. But did you feel like he cared about winning and controlling?
No,
I never got that sense from him.
No, I got a sense that he genuinely.
I love these combos, dude. It's just such a obvious. God, I love these combos because it's like very clearly this is how the average American thinks about politics. It's all shapes, colors, and sizes. Okay, that's it. Like the average American citizen is not thinking about like the actions of a political party. They're thinking about charitability. They're thinking about like whether they think the vibes are or not. Okay, that's it. Straight up. Straight up. That's it. And Bernie's vibes were good. He had a lot of hatred from people who are already despised, like the Democratic Party, like the Democratic institution, like the Republican Party as well. And he was able to, he was able to get vibe checked into oblivion. And that's it. And I know this from my own personal experience, both canvassing and also talking to people in the real world. Anytime I talk to people about Bernie Sanders, I don't even talk about his policies. I don't talk about democratic socialism. I talk about how honest he comes across. Okay? And that's it. Whenever we talk about politicians in a larger group, literally all I do is bring up the fact that like, well, Bernie is honest. He's been over by all of those very same villains. And people do see mainstream media as villainous. People do see, politicians as villainous across the board. So the fact that like Bernie has an antagonistic relationship with both the mainstream media and also with, these institutionalists is a really good thing. It's a great thing, as a matter of fact. Unfortunately, that's not how politicians are selected. The mechanism of control, especially within the Democratic primaries where, the impact is noticed the most. That revolves almost entirely around not a vibe check, but about like how easily and how successfully people can push. The MSNBC watchers can get pushed to the polls because those are the main people that vote in the Democratic primaries. And Bernie twice tried to go against that and failed. That's just the unfortunate reality. Okay? And I don't know if there's ever going to be a way to... I don't know if there's ever going to be a way to get over that. I don't know if there's ever going to be a candidate that can like, combat that with a media narrative and a media message that, pushes beyond the boundaries of like MSNBC. But whoever it is going to need to do that. Isn't that the fault of the electorate for being such easily manipulable idiots, at least those that care to vote in the Dem primary? No, that's not how I think about these sorts of things, man. Shifting the blame over back to the individual is just like American, it's just like weirdly hyper-individualistic Ameribrain bullshit. It's not. It's not up to the individual. It's not. It's just the truth. Like, we're talking about systemic change, okay? Just like it was Hillary Clinton and Hillary Clinton's campaign's individual responsibility, or rather, Hillary Clinton's responsibility for not putting forward an adequate campaign strategy and not going to Wisconsin and whatnot. That was the problem. Not the fact that, like, enough people didn't vote for Hillary Clinton, because you have to sell them something. That's not how this works. Okay? You have to sell people something for them to go out and vote for you. You can't just like expect them to go out and vote for you because they truly care that like, the Democrats are going to defend the rights of the marginalized, when Democrats are in power right now and you can see it with your own two eyes and hear with your own two ears and see it with your brain. Visualize the issue that like Democrats are falling short of offering protections for the marginalized when they're in power. Right? Carlin says we have owners who have purposely made us dumb, not the individual's fault. Yeah, that too.
Genuinely looks out for the working class,
Yes.
and he genuinely wants to help people. That's why I said that I supported him.
100%.
And when he was explaining how his situation works with taxes, that they would just tax a small percentage of speculation, of stock trading, just a tiny percentage of all these trades that are happening constantly, and that money could go to education, that money can go to wealth.
Ask your marginalized friends if they feel protected. If you don't have any, get some or shut the fuck up. Yeah, I mean, dude, that's why I just said that. Like, no one who is like, I don't think women feel like the Democratic Party is adequately protecting their rights right now. I don't think trans people think that the Democratic Party is adequately protecting their rights right now. I don't think undocumented immigrants think the Democratic Party is protecting their rights adequately right now, especially considering that the Democratic Party is either directly contributing to the problem by continuing Trump-era provisions like Title 42, or they are straight up just campaigning off of it without putting forward any sort of like serious fight. No serious pushback whatsoever. No serious fight whatsoever. Right? I mean, think about it this way. Think about how little media coverage the two bills got so far. Two bills have been passed in the House of Representatives this past week. One was about codifying. One was about legislating
has mods.
A protection for access to contraceptives, which is a genuine problem and or will become a genuine problem, right? Protecting that at the federal level is important, is really important. The other one is about protecting gay marriage. There is no media pushback. There is no like going into making the rounds on mainstream media and like routinely talking about it. There's no bouldering of the Republican Party talking about how like 157 Republicans voted no for protecting gay marriage.
Thank you for
like they're not even doing that. The only thing they're doing right now is January 6th, January 6th, January 6th, January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. It's only trying to present the Republican Party as a violent party ready to do fascism, which is true. That is true. Okay? That's been true, okay? And if your only goal is to showcase how crazy they are and then rely on the electorate to go out and vote for you as a defensive mechanism without actually doing anything to implement defenses or without even showing the defensive legislation that you're proposing, okay, then why the f are people going to vote for you? Do you see what I'm saying? So even in instances where the Democrats are actually doing something right, they're doing something adequate, they're not hyping that. They're not showing that they're doing something. It's like they are scared of showcasing efficiency. They're scared of showing that they're even doing the right thing. How crazy is that? Yes, they're always relying on the lesser of two evils, as long as people are willing to buy into the idea that there's no better alternative. But there isn't any better alternative. That's the reality. That's the unfortunate reality. Right? What are they supposed to do, Hasan? Try? You're being hysterical, Sweaty. That's true. I mean, we already talked about this. This was the Pied Piper strategy, and it failed. Like, they literally propped up Trump on purpose because they thought Trump would be the easiest to defeat out of all the Republican Party candidates. And guess what happened? It blew up in their faces, no? And they're still doing that. The Democrats are still doing this right now. They're doing it in Pennsylvania with the governor. And they're going to continue doing this. It's insane. And it's an inherent contradiction. If the Republican Party is fascist, is full of fascists, then you can't give them money and prop up the most fascist candidates personally. It doesn't work that way, right? But they're doing that. They're propping up the fascists, crying about how they're fascists, and then literally funding their campaigns because they think they're easier to defeat. And then what happens when they don't lose? What happens when they win? And that can happen. And it happened with Donald Trump. You can't also say they're fascists and then be like, we have to find, you know, a bipartisan solution. We have to find an adequate middle ground. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's what Democrats keep doing. And Americans aren't already like equipped with some kind of ideological backing. They do not understand like why they're voting for certain individuals. They're doing vibe checks anyway. So to those Americans, if you try to describe these strategies, they're gonna be like, well, what the on the one hand, you're saying they're racist, fascist pieces of shit. On the other hand, you're saying we got to compromise with them. Which one is it? Fully 76% of voters either think Biden's very popular infrastructure bill never cleared Congress or don't know whether it passed or not. Only 24% of it are aware that, yes, it passed. Because it was the bipartisan one, and Build Back Better never passed. The fatter bill did not get passed. It got held up by the Democratic Party, by the way, and the Republicans, but also the Democratic Party. There will never be an electoral alternative. You're electing a bourgeois government, man. Okay, Marxist-Leninist. Marxist-Leninist shut the fuck up challenge, okay? How many times have I talked about my strategy? It might have there might be a different strategy than you. Mine might be different than you, but ultimately, it doesn't matter, okay? The reason why I still back electoralism to a certain degree, while also talking about how it falls significantly short of what needs to be done, okay, is because even an electoral strategy gives you a prominent mainstream position because of people who don't listen to you, dumbass, that only want to endlessly pontificate about a potential Marxist-Leninist vanguard party rising up from the ashes of American fascism, which is never going to happen without adequate organizing. The reason why people don't listen to you, luckily, and actually push for electoralism and push for local organizing is because that allows people to get into positions of power, like sympathetic people to get into the positions of power. Okay? Sympathetic leftist people in positions of power is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Every moment the AOC is in a position of prominence and says things like even something as silly as like socialism was good or whatever okay? And that people are ridiculous about democratic socialism. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. That is normalizing this point of view to millions of people. And that is endlessly more successful in beefing up organizing efforts than anything you're doing on the internet.
Love you.
Man, your ass always slanders Marxist-Leninists, and then you go on and cry the leftists shouldn't do infighting? Okay, well, come on. MLs. I slander anarchists way more, okay? Shut the Like, are you serious? You're really gonna cry right now? Really? Really?
Smile, smile, chat.
Revolutions never accomplish what they set out to do. They're always commandeered in one way or another. Stop pretending that Marxist-Leninism doesn't advocate for strategic electoralism. Have you never heard of the left, communism, and infantile disorder? Lots of MLs believe in continuing to vote for base building. Okay, that's great, but that's not who I was referencing in this circumstance. There's plenty of weirdos in here as well. Okay? As an anarchist, my feelings are hurt when you slander my beliefs. Anyway, it literally doesn't matter. None of it matters. I don't even give a fuck. People call me a capitalist, dude. You think I give a like? I don't care. There is a strategic decision that I make here in trying to build a anti-capitalist base of support in this community. Okay, that's what I care about. I don't give a fuck about your flavor. Okay, your own personal individual flavor, unless you get in the way of my method of change. If you get in the way of my method of change, I'm gonna yell at you. Okay. What's Rogan saying that's liberal? Well, we're watching it right now.
Money can go to all these different things that would use to benefit society. I was like, I'm in.
That sounds good.
Is that real? What else are you trying to do? You trying to avoid war?
That sounds cool.
What else are you trying to do? Trying to like eliminate student debt?
Hey.
What else? What about healthcare? Free healthcare? I'm in.
And he's a radical.
See, that's a brilliant conversation. Okay, that's a good combo to have. Does it seem authentic? No, I think Joe Rogan is like unaware of what his worldview revolves around. You know what I mean? he changes like the wing to cater to as many views as possible. Bro, like this man was literally hyping up Ron DeSantis like last week, brother. He is the diametrical, like he is the opposite of Bernie Sanders. Like there is no man that is closer to the opposite of Bernie Sanders than Ron Death Santis. Let's hear it though. This is Joe Rogan's on his lib arc.
What do you think that is about? Like, what is this? It's not just abortion rights, but now they're going after gay marriage too, which is so strange to me.
Oh, it's so strange. It's like, bro, it's strange to you if you think that the Republican Party is not built around cruelty. The Democratic Party is built around virtue signaling, and the Republican Party is built around cruelty, racial agitprop, and cruelty. That's it. But both of those parties are essentially playing a role in their you know, they're doing theater. Both of these parties are a part of a theater play, okay? Ultimately. That's it. But you have to, at the very least, recognize that the Republican Party's role in that theater play is about being as cruel as possible to marginalized people and use them as a red herring. Society's crumbling because of Society's crumbling because the West is falling apart as a consequence of immigration. Society's crumbling because Western supremacy is no longer in existence, because Western civilization is falling apart because of homosexuality and moral decay and moral degeneracy. That's what Republicans advocate for. That's what they say. So, of course, they're going to do all this.
That
Hasan,
people are talking, like Marco
today.
Rubio was saying that it was like a silly thing to argue about, to be concerned about. And then some other senator who is a gay woman confronted him, and she was furious at it. Because gay marriage is not silly. It's marriage. It's marriage for people that are homosexual, and it's for them. It's important. They want it. They want to affirm their love and their relationship. And the fact that they're going after that now almost makes me feel like they want us to fight. They want to divide us in the best way they can, and that, like, that this is the best way for them to keep pulling off all the they're doing behind the scenes, is to get us to fight over things like gay marriage, or get us to fight over things like abortion. Or
you don't say. What? That's crazy. No way. That is so shocking. Color me surprised. What? How? What? That's never that. I would never think that that's the case. Yeah, no, dude. Next thing he's going to say, the top of the hour is when an ad break comes in, you know, like a 60-second one. And that if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. And I'm going to be like, Joe, how did you know that? Okay. And then he's going to say you can subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, as long as you have an Amazon Prime account connected to your Twitch account. That's such a good segue. You guys got debated, dude. Okay. Or he's going to say you can also get gifted a sub if you no longer want to see the ads. But if you're lucky, okay, only good boys and girls and MBs get gifted a sub if they're lucky. Here's the 1 minute ad break now. Bluevert, thank you for the 5. Get the subs. Abolish the hetero gay Will Nefasan marriage.
it's just like, why
Yes.
are you removing freedoms?
Yes.
And, you know, and then this new thing where they're, you know, gun rights, like trying to go after the Second Amendment.
I wonder if Joe Rogan will ever think about his own personal role in the culture war as a mechanism of divisiveness. Because like if you start realizing those things, then you have to maybe, do you think he'll realize that like he himself has like played a dramatic role in amplifying the divisiveness? What about you though? My friend, what the conclusion that Joe Rogan just arrived at is what I've been advocating for the past 10 years. Okay? That these wedge issues, I talked about it on the Anthony Padilla interview. I talked about it time and time again. I have been talking about it for 10 years. That ultimately, Americans agree on a lot more than they disagree on, especially as it pertains to social issues. And the idea of social issues being the only reason, the only primary motivator to separate between these two teams in our bourgeois capitalist electoral system is because it takes away from the material realities. Democrats refuse to offer material restitution. Republicans are always going for additional cruelty. They both agree on both parties ultimately agree on are endless imperial conquests overseas, bombing brown people. Okay, we always agree on deregulating certain aspects of the industry. We always agree, both parties always agree on tax cuts for the wealthy and corporations. This is a fundamental part of my advocacy. And if you don't recognize that, that's because you've been duped into thinking that I have not been saying this, and I'm only playing my role, crying all the time about Republicans. I on Democrats so much that I literally think I'm a Republican. There are people that have come into this community thinking that I was a goddamn Republican for like a week before they realize, like, holy shit, what is your political perspective? Okay? That was everyone here on their first week? Yeah. If you don't virtue signal like a Democrat, you're automatically Republican.
Translate kalam.
Anyway, let's continue.
You know, you see that story that recently happened where there's a shooter in a mall?
Can we
and
say
this guy
something about
pulled
the
out
gay
his gun?
marriage real quick?
Yeah, please.
Like, if you're going to say that marriage is an important cultural institution to the fabric of America,
right,
you can't remove it from Americans.
When I first heard of you, it was a TikTok that said there was a world where I never discovered HasanAbi and stayed a liberal, and I thought you were a Republican, Lamau. That was me. I unfollowed you at first, but eventually tried you again and got to know you. 21-month subscriber. Look at this.
Loving this Andrew Tate arc.
Right.
You can't go and say, this is important, this is what we do, we create a family, and we love one another, and this is how we express our love, and then say, these Americans can't do that.
So homophobic because you're saying there's something wrong with being homosexual.
Ooh, yo, whoa, Joe. Seems like you're virtue signaling, man. This argument that Joe is arriving at can be extended to pretty much all the other culture war issues that he plays a role in, okay? For the record. Same thing when I read your bio years ago. Do you think the average person knows the difference between right and left now? Thought you were a lib because you were wearing an Obama hat the first stream I watched? Yeah.
You are opposed to gay marriage. You're saying you're opposed to gay people.
Yeah.
Because if gay people are in love with each other and they want to have a celebration and they want to be legally bonded and connected, and there's all sorts of benefits to that in terms of
financial benefits.
Financial
like
benefits,
you build
taxes,
it into the system. Yeah.
But not only that, like if your loved one is in jail or not in jail, well, that's
on trial. You can't.
Or I was going to say in a hospital.
Oh, that's right. You have access to them. Yeah.
You have access to them, and
your
you're the
loved one is in gay jail.
only one that has access to them because you're their spouse. You're the one who has power of attorney if they're incapacitated. Like this, there's a lot to affirming that relationship, and the fact that they're going after that now, that's the kind of shit that keeps me from being a Republican.
Yeah,
it's only one of the kind. There's a bunch.
I love that, dude. He's like, if the Republicans weren't as aggressive about as open about their homophobia, I'd probably be a Republican. That's awesome.
Well, keeps you from being a Republican.
Yeah.
But that's one of the, people will say oh, you're a secret conservative. Like, you could suck my dick.
He's not a secret conservative. He's an open conservative. It's just I'm calling you because I'm going to order food. Come here and put your order in.
You don't know what the you're talking about. I'm so far away from being a Republican.
Yeah.
Just because I believe in the Second Amendment and just because I support the military and just because I support police.
Yeah.
I was on welfare.
Brother, the reason why people think you're a conservative is because of your advocacy about the shit that he said about homeless people, the shit that he said about laziness. This is a direct contradiction to exactly what he said last week when he was talking about how laziness is happens when people get money for free. I mean, look, I don't want to push people like this away, okay? And I do believe that Joe Rogan, much like many of these other people, have certain empathetic qualities that put them in the I guess progressive side. Okay? Is this an old video or new? No, this is new. But people that are saying oh, maybe he'll change. No, he's going to have Ben Shabibo back on next week and then, say the most insane, idiotic again here. Bro, he said this plenty of times too. It's more about what he's presenting himself as recently. I don't give a if you're on welfare years ago. Now now on homeless people, yeah.
As a kid,
yeah,
I think it's important. I think having a social safety net is
great.
Crucial.
Yes.
It's crucial.
Yeah.
We should help each other. We're supposed to be one big community. I'm a bleeding heart liberal when it comes to a lot of.
There it is.
I just also believe in discipline and hard work.
Yes,
that's where.
No, that's what you're right. I forgot. It's the leftists and progressives hate discipline and hard work. Famously, they're always like, "Oh man, I hate hard work and I hate discipline."
Long, but I've enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you, Hasan, for educating
like these
all
are
of us,
like
Hasan.
universal values that you are just ascribing to the conservative movement for no reason, dude. That's so insane. I'm sorry. I despise that, dude. I straight up laziness is not a quality that is associated with the left or right, okay? That's not a thing. That's not a thing.
I'm so torn on Andrew.
There are plenty of hogs that are lazy as okay? Just like there are plenty of leftists that are lazy as God damn, dude. No, Republican are lazy. No, conservatives are lazy as too. Everyone is there's lazy people in all political movements. Like, it's so stupid. It's so incredibly idiotic to be like, oh, who's lazier? Like conservatives or Democrats? Like, oh, whatever, dude. Democrats incentivize laziness. Yeah, dude, you're right. You're right, Scruff Gruff. That's totally true. Democrats incentivize laziness. Why? With social safety nets? Is that how? Is that how they do it? Dude, people that say stuff like this are so funny because you're in Twitch chat, which means like you're not even one of those billionaires or millionaires that's going to benefit from crippling the social safety nets and then getting a nice little tax break at the tippy top end of that. That's what's crazy to me. Like you are suckling on the billionaire boots so hard that you unironically are advocating for their propaganda. You're advocating for their better material conditions for them.
For a couple weeks.
For rich people don't even work. What are you talking about? Exactly. Exactly, dude. There's a certain point that you get to with your finances where your money makes money for you.
2 years, Pog.
Okay? And there are so many people that are at that point. Those people are lazy, but society has wired your brain into thinking, oh, he has money, so he's working hard. Because meritocracy is a lie told to you since birth. Okay?
Let's go. Has the brain rot set in yet?
If you aren't a spineless invertebrate layabout, you should rethink your life choices. Worm lifestyle, Pog, what? Democrats are disincentivizing people to work by advocating for the higher minimum wage. Yeah.
I fall into the more conservative side.
And
but
that's
I'm
okay.
But I'm not a person who wants to like keep all my money and not pay taxes. Like people have accused me of moving to Texas because I didn't want to pay taxes. No.
So when are you at that point?
Like,
what do you mean, when am I at that point? Am I at a point where my money could make more money for me? Absolutely. 100%. I don't do it because I'm brain broken and I love this. I love doing this and I don't need to do that.
Hassle.
But yes, of course I am. But it's funny when people say like, oh, dude, well, you know, look at what you're doing. Look at your financial predicament. It's like, bro, I'm literally in front of you for 8 to 10 hours every day. I'm streaming on a Sunday, brother. What do you think is going on?
5 whole months since Russia invaded Ukraine.
It's not like I'm not hiding it. Like, it's not like I'm taking like a 2-month vacation or something, and then I come back and I'm like, all right, time to work again. And it would be totally valid if I wanted to do that as well.
Sparkling
and in Twitter and in Discord and in offline chat, you're always online. Exactly. I'm brain broken. I love this. I love my community. I value it immensely. I owe everything to you guys. So this doesn't feel like real work. And the main point is I want to make sure that everyone has opportunities like this. I want to make sure that everyone can have a future like this. I want to make sure that everyone can have emotionally satisfying, fulfilling, meaningful work. Okay? And get paid adequately, get compensated for the actual labor that you put in, and have more autonomy over your own life. That is at the heart of leftist values. That is at the heart of Marxism. Okay? People often misunderstand Marxism. They say, oh, it's collectivism. It's collectivism. Like, it doesn't care about the individual. No, dude. It's collective action so that individual freedoms can be uplifted. How can you claim to be a free person in the United States of America when we house, or shackle rather, 25% of the world's entire incarcerated population? How can you say you're truly free when you are shackled with debt just so you can become a more productive worker, okay, in the form of college debt, in the form of student loan debt, an amenity afforded to the average citizen in most other OECD nations, okay? How can you say you're truly free when your employment is directly tied to your health care? How can you say you're free? Are you really free? You spend 80% of your adult lives, many of you are young right now, so you're not there yet, but when you get older, you're going to spend 80% of your adult lives working at facilities, working at corporations where you have no say over what you wear, what you can say, what you can do, what you can and can't do. There's your haircut, okay? You will have no say over that whatsoever, out of the fear that if you don't follow whatever your manager or your boss is saying, you might lose your job. And if you lose your job, you lose any opportunity you have to put a shelter over your head. You lose any opportunity you have to put food on your table, clothes on your back, and more importantly than all of that, health care. How can you say you're truly free when that is the reality that you exist under? You're not. They've just lied to you, and they've said that you're free, and you think that you're free, but you're not free. You have no freedom whatsoever.
Black pilled for another month.
Okay? The only freedom you have is a false notion that you either work and have no say over your own lives whatsoever, or die, starve, and die. Okay? Let's continue.
No, I moved to Texas because I want freedom.
What a perfect way to end that clip. Now, Joseph Robinette Rogan, obviously, he has freedom because he's a multimillionaire.